Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today's topic, I'm going to address how you have to kind of relook at how you prioritize isn't the right word, but validate your life and pick your priorities. The thing is that you get caught up, I mean rightfully so, you get caught up in all the things that are important in your life. You might be thinking, well, wait a minute, where is this going? What I mean is that, when you're with somebody, you have a relationship, you have a marriage, you have a house, you have kids, you have, standing in your community because of your family and your reputation. People tend to get external validation of their lives. Everything I just mentioned is external validation. And the problem with that, the problem whenever you feel good about yourself because of all these, I guess you could call them accomplishments, achievements. If anything happens to those and they start to erode, you can actually lose sight of yourself, or you can lose yourself. This is a very common problem for anybody going through this. One day you have a family, you have your kids, you have your wife, you have a house, you have money potentially, and then you wake up one day and all that's ripped away from you. And typically what happens is it's a gradual increase or gradual decrease of things that were important to you that are no longer, that you no longer have. And you have to be really careful at this stage of it, because you'll start typically to go into a tailspin. You'll start catastrophizing, thinking, first it's like, oh my God, I'm getting a divorce, and maybe you're naive on how this is going to go, but you're like, okay, well, the relationship's done, but at least I have my family, at least I have my resources, I'm still a good person. There's no reason for, the ex to play any games, all the stuff that everyone else has to deal with. That's always been because there's something they did, they deserved it. I haven't done anything, so there's no reason for this to go sideways. And then you start hearing rumors. You start hearing how your ex is going around telling people that you were abusive, that you did this and you did that. And it messes with your mind because you're like, wait a minute, what? That's not true. And then as that proceeds on, depending on what happens, you could start to see your kids act differently. Sometimes these wonderful garbage people will, and I'm no offense to garbage collectors, they will even start trying to hurt you at work. They'll be calling, saying, wanting to say things about why you're a bad person, or maybe that you're defrauding the company or something. I don't think I had to deal with that directly, but I have had employees who have had that, whose exes try to reach out to me as their supervisor, and in their leadership chain to try to basically turn me against them to achieve more pain and ultimately more control. That's really the main thrust of this, is manipulation and control. But while this is all occurring, you're systematically losing everything that was important to you. You end up sleeping in your car or on a friend's couch or something, trying to reevaluate your life on what happened. And then you find yourself in that situation to where you think back to those times where you knew, Timmy down the road who went through this and was getting smeared by his ex, and you may have even heard some of it, and you're thinking, wow, I never realized Timmy was such a scumbag. And then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh my God, maybe Timmy wasn't such a scumbag. Maybe it was all lies. Maybe it was all made up. And then you're going, oh my God, other people are going to believe whatever's being said about you. Here's the thing. Self-validation is incredibly important. And what I mean by that is you have to recognize your truth and believe it. Unless you don't think you're a good person, or you've been a complete scumbag, and even if that's true, then you can make the decision to say, okay, I'm going to do better. But if you know you're not a bad person, you have to own that and believe it, and not need someone else to come along and say, you're a great person. You're an awesome person, and I wish I could be more like you. I mean, it's great, right? I mean, we would all love to hear that. But the reality is, you cannot be in a situation where that's how you feel good about yourself, is this external stuff. Because I'll tell you, in a toxic, narcissistic, knockdown, drag out, emotional warfare, your adversary, the person that you probably would have died for prior to this whole thing happening, is going out of their way to destroy you. And they're doing it for a couple of significant reasons. The first one, really, is when they know they don't have you anymore and they can't control you, you are a threat to them. They know that you can expose who they really are. The best way for a narcissistic person, or pretty much the main way that a narcissistic, toxic person fights in that situation, is they launch a smear campaign, and they go after the credibility and the character of their target, which is you. The purpose of that is, if they can destroy your credibility, then when you come along and you try to defend yourself and say, but wait, this is what happened, people won't believe you. Or they'll think you're bitter, angry, you're lashing out. And let me just clarify something here. I mean, yes, there are narcissistic people that will go around and say, oh my God, he's such a scumbag. Or they. I'll just say they. They're such a scumbag. They did all this stuff, and they were abusive, and they, blah, 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 blah. They'll be overtly attacking your credibility. The other way they can do it is they can say, well, it's just so controlling, and they just can't get over it, and the relationship's over, and they just need to let go and move on. So then whenever you come along and you're trying to tell somebody what's going on, you'll probably hear, hey, Bill, you just need to let it go. That's over. You need to let it go. Makes it really tough. At the end of the day, I was just talking to somebody about this about an hour ago. It doesn't matter what that person says about you, thinks about you, tries to smear on you. It's irrelevant. They can say whatever the hell they want. It doesn't matter. You are never going to change their mind. The reality is if you did everything they wanted, it still would not be good enough. You have to find a way to feel good about yourself internally. Because the reality is, most of the time when you go through something like this, your support group, maybe it was this big before, goes whoosh and shrinks down. And maybe it ends up with 1, 2, 3 people that are really on, your side, and your support group just nearly evaporates. And it's incredibly lonely, isolating, scary, and you'll be struggling with multiple things all happening at the same time. Now, as I'm saying this, you could be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm dealing with. This is catastrophic. I'm not going to diminish that. It's not easy, but it's not catastrophic. There's a way around this. This is why working on yourself is incredibly important. This is why building your own self-esteem, building your own self-worth without needing it from somebody else, getting validation or accolades from another person is icing on the cake. But it cannot be the main thing that keeps you going. Now, here's the good parts about this. And you'll have to let me know if what I'm getting ready to say is too far into the future to even think about. But here's the reality. Once you cross this threshold and you figure this part of this scenario out, and you realize, hey, you know what? I'm a decent person. I got value. You get to the point where you also got to get to the point where you're comfortable with yourself, and being quote unquote alone is okay and it isn't scary. And if you're sitting there by yourself at the side of a lake or at a coffee shop, if we ever get to go back to coffee shops, the way things are going now, now it seems like it's getting worse for COVID, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. When you get to the point where you're okay, a narcissistic person's ability to manipulate your emotions and to get you to lower your boundaries evaporates. And your life quality increases significantly. Because here's the thing, think about it. How many times have you allowed yourself to be around somebody who you kind of knew wasn't really good for you, but you didn't want to be alone? You like, well, this is the only person I have to talk to or hang out with right now. They treat me like crap, or they belittle me, or they're always making fun of me, or they're always, degrading me. But I don't have anyone else, so I'm going to put up with it because I still want their attention. When you get to the point, that you don't need that, you'll look at it and go, you know what? It's like I can be by myself and have peace and be fine, or I can allow that into my life, and you'll say no. And you will start pruning people from your life. Now, the reality is when you start going through that, you start recognizing all these toxic people that have been around you, it feels like you're alone. It's not. You're just cleaning off all the gunk, and you're getting all the toxic people away from you. Unfortunately, when you get caught up in this situation, typically we have a cadre of toxic, emotionally abusive people that we've allowed into our environment. So here's my final thoughts on this, is that it is incredibly important that you can find your peace with yourself and start building your self-esteem without external influences. And if you're not there yet, and you feel like, if you're looking at going, well, how can I do that? I've lost everything. Trust me, you can. This is painful. It's going to take time, but know that that's where you're heading, right? It's like, think of it this way. You're, a first year student in college, the first week of freshman class or whatever, and you have 4 years ahead of you to get your bachelor's degree, or 6 years ahead of you to get your master's. You're not going to get there tomorrow. You have to go through the process. You have to learn. You have to grow. You have to have setbacks. You have to have successes. And at the end of it, you're going to walk, across the stage, so to speak, having graduated from this experience with a ton of newfound skills that improve your life. And along the way, you're going to figure out how to deal with your ex in a more constructive way for you. I mean, they're never going to change, so they're going to be consistently trapped in their nightmare behavior. But you won't be. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm curious to see what you guys, what your opinion of this is. Does this make any sense to you? Put your thoughts in the comments below. I'd like to hear it. Sometimes it's tough because in these videos there's a cross section of milestones you have to get through to get to the other side, and sometimes it's tough to weave that circle, or weave that path to show you how to get from where you are today to that other person later. I mean, and hopefully from watching my channel and my videos, if you're new to the channel, check out some of the other ones. You'll see, just the difference of what the topics have been and where I am in my life now. Even check out my camping channel. I mean, you can see some, I've really been able to get my life back in spite of all this stuff, and see that there is a pathway to the other side of it. It's like, guys, and when I say guys, I mean men and women. Both can be targets of these toxic people. I see it all the time, and I have coaching clients that I deal with that are on both sides of this. You can break free from this and get your life back. It's exactly like anything else when you start out at the beginning at step one and you're trying to get to the other side, whether it's a career, going from entry level to journeyman to master technician, for that type of thing. The degree, this example I was giving before, I mean, hell, I'll use my buddy John Steinbeck, who runs Brainwashing Children. I mean, he's a commercial cargo pilot. I mean, he had to go through, start out at the bottom as a pilot trainee, and now he's flying jumbo jets. He's flying heavies. I mean, you don't start out with your goal at the end, or at the beginning. I mean, the hard part is that this is so effing painful, and the pain you're feeling isn't everything, all these other things, it's exciting because you got this goal at the end. But this is something to where it's like you've been knocked down, and it's like, hey, guess what? You're going to go through this path, and you have no choice. But the thing is, I'll just say this. Time and time again, what I've heard from a ton of people with working with them over the last 5 years of running this channel is this ultimately, fundamentally changes their life in such a dramatic and positive way that on the other side of it, their life is so much better, and they're a better person and grown so much that would have never occurred unless this situation happened. So again, let me know what you think. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell notification so you get notified when I post a video. Check out my camping channel, the link's down below. And I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.